So, something like a year ago, I did a quick let's play video of STALCRAFT. I remember the game had just released on Steam. I mean, technically the game is a bit older than that, but there was a good amount of hype around the Steam release, and it's free, so of course I wanted to check it out. On paper, I knew it was something I could really get into. Because first, it's an adaptation of the Stalker universe and a lot of the Stalker lore into a MMO format, and I know a lot of people around here, myself included, are looking for a multiplayer experience exactly like this. And all of that comes with a twist, because it also works like an extraction shooter in an open world setting, so in a way what Tarkov claimed it would be at the very beginning, but never really was in the end. And it has a lot of survival elements on top of it. Crafting, resource gathering, a pretty hardcore gameplay and PvP that made me think of what you can find in DayZ or even Rust. So basically taking inspiration from all kind of games I love and spend way too much time playing, even if I never talked about them on the channel actually. Maybe one day I'll show you how Rust turned me into a toxic player. But anyways, back to STALCRAFT. So all of this with visuals reminiscing of Minecraft, which makes sense as even though now the game runs on its own engine, originally it comes from a Minecraft mod. The graphics threw me off a bit at the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, very blocky, very colorful. I wasn't sure how I felt about that, but after a couple hours I realized it actually gives a nice and cozy feeling to the game, almost making you forget how ruthless and unforgiving this world really is. And it kinda grew on me, especially because the overall atmosphere of the game is pretty solid and it can get very scary and intense at times. So anyways, I did this let's play quickly last year. I actually really enjoyed my first few hours in the game, but I was in the middle of a new Invictus run in Stalker, so I just put it on the side and never really came back to it. But recently the devs behind STALCRAFT reached out because they have this new event happening right now, the Arena of Slavs, which is basically a new game mode where you fight waves of monsters and try to survive, unlock new gear and rewards while the zone is literally trying to get you. I'll talk about it more in details at the end of the video, and I will leave you a link to register to get some goodies if you want to give it a try. But most importantly, they asked me if I was interested in simply revisiting the game as a whole for the occasion. To be honest, I was planning on putting 10, maybe 15 hours into it, do a quick review and be done with it. And, well, let me check. Yeah, fuck. I think I kinda got hooked. I even started convincing some friends to come play with me, so yeah, this is bad. That's why I still haven't finished my playthrough video of OP2. I mean, it's coming, don't worry, it's coming. So, let's talk about my experience so far. Let's talk about what the game has to offer, the main mechanics, the quest, the PvE, the PvP, the grind, what I like, what I don't like too, because it's a very fun game, but it's not perfect either. They had a ton of patches and big changes and even a new game engine since the last time I played, so I decided that the best way was to make a new character and start back from scratch. You begin with a quick tutorial. It's actually pretty well made. It covers all the basic mechanics to get you started. You can get a taste of the loot, the handling of the weapons, the shooting. Did I just get killed in the tutorial? Jesus, okay. Let's focus. Can't have monoliths ruining my life, even in this game. Okay. You also learn the main elements of the story at the same time. I'm not gonna give any spoilers as usual, so if you want to give the game a try, you can discover all the lore by yourself, but it's an interesting new take on the whole zone mythology. Most people I talked with completely ignored the story and went straight to the looting and fighting, but I actually enjoyed the story. It's pretty well written, with fully voiced characters, cutscenes, cinematics. I don't know, I like to understand why I'm doing some missions, but maybe that's just me. Actually, some missions have multiple choices and you will get different rewards and outcomes depending on what you decide to do. So yeah, you should pay attention. But anyways, you basically had a dream where the zone was calling you. It actually reminded me a bit of this, for those who know.
Твоя цель здесь. Иди ко мне.
And yep, here you are. You need to choose your faction between stalkers and bandits, and later on you will be able to pick a sub-faction like duty, freedom, mercenaries. But yeah, right now let's try bandits. I never played the bad guys. Even though I only put 100 hours into the game right now, and I'm still not even close to the end game, well, I'm taking my time doing all the quests, all the side missions, and leveling completely all the areas, which takes some time. I think I can already see that we can divide the game in 4 stages. The first stage, the early game, will take place in the swamps and cordon, and it will get you hooked, at least I was. The gameplay loop and the pacing are absolutely perfect. You meet all the NPCs, learn all their stories, you quickly understand that it's a pretty cutthroat world out there, you cannot trust anybody, but you need to survive and make some dough, so you take all the missions you can and off to the zone you go. The world is full of points of interest on top of your regular missions, and you will have to clean all kinds of mutants, from fleshies, boars, dogs, giant rats, and of course enemy stalkers, military soldiers, basically AI that roams the map or holds some areas, and you gather all the components and resources you can at the same time, and bring them safely back home at the end of every run. And of course, other players are doing the same thing, so I have some bandits allies with me, but there's enemy stalkers. So you will fight against other players from time to time, and from the very beginning, the stress of making it alive back home with all your loot is very real. Because if you die, you keep all your main items, like your gun and armor, but you drop your backpack with all your resources you've been farming on the ground. If you're lucky, you can quickly go back and pick it up, probably have to fight for it too, but other players, friendly or enemy, can steal it. And here it gets interesting because you cannot use the resources inside of a backpack you steal. There's an auction house in the game where you can try to sell back the backpack you just stole to his owner. It's pretty common to get killed by an enemy stalker, and a couple minutes later you get a notification that your backpack is available for purchase on the auction house. And generally people are reasonable. They will put a buyout price that matches more or less the content of your bag. So yes, you have to fork a bit of money to get your stuff back, but money is very easy to make, and at least you're not losing your important resources and a lot of progress. I actually really enjoy this mechanic. It's actually a smart way to ease a bit the Tarkov-like extraction shooter aspect of the game, where you don't necessarily lose everything if you die, you generally have a chance to get it back. For a price, but generally reasonable. And personally, if I find a backpack from a friendly bandit, I just send it back to him for free, just for good karma. And it feels good to be a nice person. A lot of people will do the same actually. The first areas are pretty chill anyways. You can farm in peace most of the time, get familiar with the game, and most of your deaths will be from mutants or running into anomalies. And the progression is very satisfying. You unlock new guns, new armors, you start upgrading your gear, getting your first attachments. Like I said, the game hooks you up very quickly. I love exploring everything, looting every single container I find, I mean loot goblin forever, and you have a ton of quests and side missions to do. At this point, that's when the graphics started growing on me. The game runs great, even on a potato, the shooting feels good, it can be really atmospheric at times, and there's nothing like running in a shelter with everybody around you during an emission. I mean, you're living the daily life of a stalker in the zone, and honestly it's a great experience. The second stage of the game, when you reach Agroprom, Dark Valley, but most importantly the dump, is where things start to get intense. In the swamps and cordon, if you're a bandit, you could stay on the bandit side and not mess with stalkers too much. And the same is true if you play stalker. You just don't go in the bandit occupied areas and you can chill and farm in peace most of the time. The dump is when we crank everything up a notch, because here both factions fight for resources and it's a much more contested area. I'm not a huge PvP person, and generally I try to avoid fights if I can, especially as I play solo most of the time, but here you will have to fight much more often. The mutants are much stronger too, there's way more anomalies making the world much more dangerous, and yeah, things start to get serious. Exactly like in the OG Stalker games, the game will tell you with a small beep sound when someone gets close to you, and how many people are around. but you don't know if they're friends or enemies, just that someone is getting close. I love how you become instantly much more aware of your surroundings as soon as you hear this little beep, and the relief if you see if it's a friend, or the tension if you spot an enemy and have to decide what to do. You start playing very carefully, and it's like a dance of completing missions, farming a bit, avoiding anomalies, and making it back alive at base to stash your loot. And I think this part of the game is my absolute favorite. It's intense, you really fight for your life. You die sometimes, but there's no better feeling than making it back alive at base after a big run. And here you really start getting into your gear. What do you want to specialize on? Do you want to focus first on an armor to fight, or a scientific suit to go easily into anomalies and look for artifacts? Side missions become really important too at this point, as you will get a lot of good gear regularly through them. My advice is to really take the time to do them. Some are really cool story-wise, they will give you pretty good rewards that are gonna help with progression. New stuff is slowly getting harder to get, so anything you can have through missions is gonna be a huge relief. And then you can focus on what you really want. A good shotgun to deal with mutants first, a good PvP weapon, something that could do a little bit of both maybe. There's so many options and choices to make depending on how you want to play the game. You start to really have goals of things you want to farm and unlock. You can already see that getting everything will be a grind, but the progression is so satisfying that you cannot stop. And you're still discovering a ton of mechanics at the same time, progressing the quests. It's the perfect balance of hardcore, intense gameplay, while still being extremely fun and rewarding. And again, I'm not a big PvP person, I'm much more of a casual PvE enjoyer, but the encounters you have with other players, the fight, helping allies, storming enemy positions, playing like a rat too, because come on, it's fun too. I mean, all of this is a great experience. And then, after already a good amount of time put into the game, you reach the third stage of the game, the bar. Ah, the bar. It's not even the endgame yet, far from it actually. You still have a ton of content and missions and events and sub-faction fights in the deep north, but the bar is when the gameplay takes a 180 turn. The bar is where you understand why they put this sign on the Steam page of the game. Because yes, you will be killed, you will be robbed, and it's filled with real players, much more than before. The bar is where you will either get absolutely addicted to the game or realize it's not really for you. And I don't want to make it sound too bad, because again, I'm more of a PvE player and I actually enjoy the madness happening here. You will have to fight a lot. There's a ton of PvP here, and you cannot really avoid it like the earlier areas. It completely becomes parts of the gameplay now. It's a make or break moment, because you unlock a ton of new cool things at the bar. That's where you will start getting the weapons and armors you've been eyeing since the beginning. That's where you will finally get this cool scope for your sniper rifle. You will start min-maxing your build with artifacts, want to hunt for more to get better stats, really get into the bartering and the auction house and all the upgrades you can get on your gear. I mean, yeah, it's very addicting. There's also a lot of new mechanics, resources, things to farm. Actually, the grind really starts here. And it's at this point that I convinced some friends to join me, because it really helps if you're not playing alone. Shout out to Kai Cypher, by the way, who's been carrying my ass around the zone from this point onward, and being the perfect bodyguard to help me do missions and progress easily. Ah, thank you, bro. And here you will get the best and also the worst. You will make friends, you will join squads of random people to survive and help each other, which honestly is an amazing experience, and I love joining forces with random people, even for a short amount of time, and do some quests together. I love how everybody says hi when you cross paths with, will revive you and try to help if you're down. That's when you really start getting the feeling that you're part of a faction and you need to cooperate to survive. But you will also get the campers, the griefers, sometimes with better gear than you, or who just outnumber you, and yeah, you cannot do anything and you will die. A lot, sometimes. You will have to be much more careful. Remember this beeping sound telling you if people are around? This beep will start ruling your life and all your actions. trying to make it back inside the bar after a giant loot run with your backpack full, watching friendlies getting killed left and right around you is the most intense experience I have had in a while. And sometimes you don't make it, and it's so frustrating, but when you do, it's also the best feeling in the world. Here, some people will give up, and some people will want to grind harder, get better gear and fight back. Right now, I'm fighting back, trying to finish the main quest, get the best gear I can and all the upgrades I want, and I'm having a blast, but it's definitely not gonna be for everyone. Because after that, you truly reach the endgame in the deep north, and I didn't even pick a sub-faction yet, I still didn't go there. I'm 100 hours in and there's still so much content, the faction wars, the timed events. I just met my first solo giant yesterday, and yeah, let's say it was pretty intense. But from what I heard, up north is the bar experience like cranked to 11. The grind goes to another level, the fighting and PvP too. Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for this, like, we'll see. So, overall, what to say? The amount of content and quality for a free game is kinda impressive so far. The event happening right now, the Arena of Slav, is a new game mode you can try, which adds even more things to do. You fight waves of monsters in a ton of new different areas to unlock new gear and rewards. Don't forget to use the link if you're registering for the first time to unlock a lot of bonuses, which will help you get you started. And yeah, going back to the main game, you of course have a premium to make the grind a bit easier, a battle pass with tons of things to unlock, but so far I did everything without looking too much into those to see what the real free experience was, and yeah, I'm not disappointed. I mean, I might be biased because I'm a loot goblin and I don't mind grinding all day. And especially if, like me, you focus more on the story, discovering the zone. Right now I'm spending hours just hunting for artifacts. I'm not even trying to progress the story. I don't really care what's the new meta weapon for the endgame PvP or stuff like this. Like, I mean, at least not right now. I'm just enjoying myself in the game. So yeah, try it. Let me know what you think. Actually, right now I want to start again, but as a stalker, and explore all the other side of the zone where you don't go as much as a bandit. Yeah, actually I might do that. Okay, I'll see you later guys. Enjoy.